All right. The next 30 for 30. As always, check out the Patreon page. Content coming over there soon. I promise it's already been finished. I just got to move everything over. But there'll be some content over there. And it only costs $1 to go over there. And it's not really for a paywall. It's just because that's a requirement. But yeah. 30 for 30. Still going. Today, as you can see, alien from Wuhan, China, charged with making false statements and smuggling biological materials into the U.S. for her work at University of Michigan Laboratory. It's a long title. So, I guess this goes to show that if you think that, this biological smuggling thing that continues to happen, if you think it's rare, then think again, right? Another Chinese national, what a surprise. This time, someone named, Chung Xuan Han, a PhD candidate from Wuhan's, Huazhong University, was arrested at Detroit Metro Airport, and she's accused of smuggling biological materials to the University of Michigan and lying to U.S. officials. Let that sink in again. Again, this type of stuff, this sneaky, I'm just going to say it, this sneaky, snaky bullshit continues to happen. This wasn't some, mistake on an academic paper. This was biological, material, okay? This was something physical. This was roundworm specimens, I guess, to be precise, and they were hidden. Here's the other thing. They were hidden in 4 separate packages, and they were shipped from Wuhan in 2024 and 2025. They were addressed to insiders, at the lab there, of course. And this is the 3rd time in weeks, really, that a Chinese national has been charged with smuggling biological agents into the United States. And just like the others, it leads straight back to academic research to Wuhan, okay? Back to China's, web of so-called collaboration, basically, aka, continue to use our shit and take all the credit. That, of course, is they call science. I call it infiltration. But, this person, they arrived on a J-1 visa, supposedly to work with a University of Michigan lab. But U.S. Customs and Border Protection, of course, was waiting, watching, because, that's what they do, right? They're very aware of what China's been doing. Thankfully, they're stepping up and catching these people. And when they confronted her about the packages, she did what CCP members, what they always do in this case. She lied. Flat out lied. She later admitted to smuggling the samples. Not only that, she admitted that she deleted her phone data 3 days before boarding her flight to the U.S. That's not carelessness. That's the intent to smuggle. That's doing something, nefarious, I guess you could say. And federal prosecutors aren't mincing words. They're calling it what it is. It's a deliberate act to circumvent regulations and smuggle biological materials into America. And these materials could be harmless or could be the beginning of something far more dangerous, right? U.S. Attorney Jerome Gordon put it clearly: the American taxpayer should not be underwriting a PRC-based smuggling operation at one of our most important public institutions. Translation: our universities are being used as backdoors, and we're paying for it. This isn't some isolated incident. This is the 3rd individual with ties to China who's been charged for the exact kind of biological smuggling, just in the past few weeks. Before her, 2 others were caught trying to bring in other agents, including a dangerous fungus. What do they all have in common, though? I think you're going to know where this is going. They're all from China. They're all tied to research institutions, and they're all targeting the University of Michigan. Okay? It's a pattern, right? When you see something and it happens again and again and again, it's a pattern. There's a reason that it's happening. And it reveals something far more sinister. Chinese nationals are being sent into American labs under the guise of academic exchange. But what they're really doing is bypassing regulations and hiding materials that have serious biosafety implications. You think roundworm samples don't matter? Think again. Biological materials like these, especially when modified, condensed or, prepared for lab use, can be incredibly valuable. They can be the starting point for genome sequencing, drug resist modeling, or, in the wrong hands, something darker, dual use bioengineering. You see, China's regime has been chasing biotech dominance for years, okay? And this includes gene editing, by the way, agricultural patents, and yes, military bioresearch, of course. And they're using every tool available to gather the data and materials they need, including us. Academic freedom is being weaponized. Our universities, are open, they're trusting, they're unregulated, and they're becoming pipelines for CCP-linked bio-ops. Let's stop pretending that this isn't happening. Let's stop pretending that this is innocent. This isn't science. This is espionage with a lab coat on. And what's worse, it's happening right under our noses, because the very nature of science is open collaboration. American labs want to share knowledge, okay? But again, we're dealing with China, and China doesn't play by the rules, okay? China doesn't share. They steal, they take, they hide, and they lie. That's not partnership. That's not science. That's exploitation, okay? She knew what she was doing. She knew she wasn't just dropping off research samples. She was moving 4 undeclared biological packages across borders, lying to authorities, and trying to cover her tracks before arrival. And here's the part that no one wants to say out loud. This isn't the start, okay? This is just a test run here, and it's going to continue. It starts with worms, and it ends with who knows where. The CCP has already shown the world how dangerous its biotech ambitions can be, and now we're seeing the front end of that. But again, quietly, methodically, slipping into our labs. But this time, they got caught. Now it's time to decide what we do next. Because if we treat this as just another, visa violation, say, oh, it's okay, you can go home, then we're missing the bigger picture. This isn't one student. This isn't, some incident. It's a system, one designed to probe for weakness. And they found one at the University of Michigan, a big one. So what should we do? First, threats like this are a national security threat, not a bureaucratic hiccup. Second, universities need to wake up. Screen programs, vet partnerships, track materials, and personnel more aggressively. Third, Congress and federal agencies must investigate how deep this infiltration goes. Because if this is what's being caught, what's slipping through, and finally we have to end the myth that Chinese academic collaboration is safe, because it's not. It's been compromised, it's been weaponized, and it's a tool of war now. We know this for sure. We're not just being watched, we're being used, okay? And used to build the next wave of biotechnology that won't benefit the world. It will benefit the regime. And the longer we pretend this is normal, the more we risk, we absorb. America's being tested. This isn't about racism or xenophobia or overreaction. It's about facts, okay? A Chinese researcher from the Wuhan smuggled undeclared biological samples into our country. They lied to our border officials. They deleted evidence and got caught. What happens next will tell the world whether the United States has learned anything at all. Because biological infiltration isn't coming. It's already here. I hope you liked today's 30 for 30. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.